Cheeky Run Club recognises that every day we live, work and run on Aboriginal land.
This episode of Cheeky Run Club is brought to you by Pillar Performance and their brand new creatine supplement.
Welcome to Cheeky Run Club, the social running podcast and community for your everyday amateur runner. Hello, Anna.
Hello, Phoebe.
And hello, listeners.
Today, we are going to try and answer the question of, is Runna worth the hype? We have had a good look at the app and done some super sleuthing, and also had hundreds and hundreds of messages off the back of our Instagram stories with very strong opinions both ways. So we are super excited to unpack both sides of the debate.
But first, as always, let's kick it off with our notable runs of the last few weeks because we're back.
We are back!
We've had a really long cheeky holiday.
Not only has Cheeky been on holidays, our friendship has been on holidays. We haven't seen each other for 3 weeks.
I still consider you my friend even when you're in another country.
It's so weird. It's actually crazy. Phoebe and I literally see each other every day, or if not every day, every couple of days.
Yeah.
And
how long has it been?
It's been since
Pre-Easter.
After dark, which is
since after
3
dark.
weeks ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
How are you?
Oh, I'm pretty good. How are you?
Good. I'm good. I'm the picture of health right now.
Yeah. Croaky voice and all.
I know.
Some things don't change.
I know. Every time I go away for work, I come back with no voice.
I am sure that I might hear about it in one of your notable run or running related activities, but very keen to hear about your hike in New Zealand.
I actually forgot about that.
Oh.
So it wasn't going to be my notable, but yeah, maybe I'll update my best run.
Give me your best.
Okay, well, I wasn't. Now
I'll
give it as a runner-up. So I did a 3-day hike in New Zealand with most of my family. Unfortunately, my sister and her family couldn't come. 60 kilometres. It's called the Hump Ridge Track, right down the bottom of the South Island. It was absolutely stunning. It's one of the great walks in New Zealand. So the facilities are amazing.
Yeah.
It's mostly walking on actual path, not super traily.
Yeah.
You stay in these cabins that have really nice views and you can kind of cook food there and everything. So it's a really luxurious hike.
Yeah.
It was super fun. It was hard. I
Was
think
it?
I was a bit smug going into it because I've done some big hikes before.
Yeah,
as you know.
and also I remember you saying that you'd done it before.
I've done this hike before as well.
So it was like you've clocked it once.
I've clocked it once.
It's not
I actually
hard.
do remember finding it hard last time, but I thought this time I'm
Bigger,
fit.
better, faster,
I'm fitter.
stronger.
Yeah, and I've done way more hardcore hikes. And so I was like, don't worry guys. Like,
I've got this.
I'll show you how
Don't worry
it's
guys,
done.
I've nearly died on a hike before. I'll
Yeah,
be fine.
yeah, literally. But I actually found it really hard, especially day one, you're hiking up. And in my head, that was the hardest day, but that was completely fine. Day 2 is down.
Yeah.
And that was so hard.
Oh, really?
Like just downstairs for, I don't know.
Yeah,
kilometers
your
and
quads,
kilometers.
that would be really hard.
And calves. My calves. So then by day 3, my calves had no power in them. It was crazy. They were so tired. And then I had to have like a few days off running afterwards as well. Because I was like,
okay.
they're just
Cooked.
like my legs are literally.
60Ks in 3 days. That's so.
It's quite a lot.
Were you walking pretty much all day?
No,
each
it's
day?
maybe like 5 or 6 hours of walking.
Yeah.
So it's pretty good. Like you stop and eat, you stop whenever there's a beautiful view. And then we'd kind of get in at 3 or whatever, 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Play some cards.
Yeah, I did see that from the reel.
From the reel, yes. So that was I'm going to call that my runner-up notable.
Yeah.
And then I was going to give a really generic but good update around, I think my iron is super high.
You're feeling good.
Well, I'm now almost 12 weeks post-infusion.
Yeah.
And they did say it could take 10 to 12 weeks. I think I've been feeling better and better since I got the iron infusion. But I feel like about 2 weeks ago, I just felt this like lightness on my runs that I haven't felt in a year.
Oh.
And I've noticed my heart rate on my runs is like right back down to where it used to be. And I can't really explain it, but running is just feeling easier at the moment.
Yeah.
It's not because I'm fitter. I'm definitely no fitter than I was. Even when I have a hard long run, I'm not getting
still
anywhere
feel kinda
near the
good.
same fatigue.
Yeah, I know what
I
you
feel
mean.
completely fine.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, this is hard.
You're like tired, but you're fine.
But I'm fine. Yeah. It's this really noticeable difference, and it's really exciting.
Oh, that's
'Cause
so
I'm like,
good. I'm so happy.
I'm just feeling so much.
About bloody time.
Yeah. So I actually
No
need to
pun
go.
intended.
I'm having like a checkup on to get where my iron levels actually are this week. And so then I'll be able to like fully report where my ferritin is, which will be exciting.
Yeah,
But
okay.
I am feeling like it's making a massive difference.
Woohoo.
And yes, that's exciting.
Very exciting.
What about you? What was your best running related activity?
I went to New York
You did.
for Easter and Anzac Day. I took 3 days annual leave and got 10 days off or 11
So
days off or
good.
something. My husband Dave and I went to visit our old housemate Georgie.
Yeah.
She moved over there almost 2 years ago now, which is crazy because it
Wow.
means I haven't lived with her for nearly 2 years.
Yeah, it does mean that.
But it was the whole trip, it was really, really cool. It was so exciting, like seeing
Yeah.
her new life.
Yeah.
There's something really strange about going from living with someone. So literally we did so
Yeah.
much together as well.
And especially even through COVID and everything, like you do spend a lot of time. Yeah.
From that to her moving overseas. And
Yeah.
just like not, obviously like we chat and everything,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
like
yeah,
not
yeah.
actually
You're
like
not in each
being
other's pockets.
No, being
And then it's
part
cool
of each
to
other's
see,
like everyday kind of thing. Yeah.
And then you get to see what her life looks like.
Yeah. She's, not that anyone needs to know this, but yeah, she's just.
They should. People should know about Georgie.
She's actually, she is one of the best people to know.
Yeah, just to know.
Like everyone loves her. Sorry, back to the point. My best running related, I've kind of got two. Both were in New
Okay,
York.
I'll allow it because I did just give two.
Yeah. So one was just going for a run with her. It was just
Yeah.
so nice. I haven't done it in ages, and it was one of the first runs I went on, and going along the Hudson River. It was just so cool. We were looking over to New Jersey. It was so sick. And then the second one is Dave and I went for a run around Central Park.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like a big Sex and the City fan.
Okay.
And just everything in New York, they kept bagging me because everything I saw, I would just say, oh, that's so cool.
So you could recognize it from Sex and the City.
I could recognize certain things, but also it's just like the streetscapes and everything is just, obviously because it's filmed there, it's
Yeah.
just the same,
Yeah.
obviously. But
Yeah.
I don't know, there's something like really nostalgic about seeing all of
Wow.
it in real life. I just loved it. And Central Park is so beautiful.
Yeah.
It is such a beautiful park. There are so many runners there. So the run that we did was on the Wednesday and Boston Marathon had just been on.
Oh,
and
yeah.
there were already people like decked out in their Boston Marathon.
Oh,
like, because they'd
cool.
obviously like come home and they're like going around the track.
Yeah.
It was really cool. Highly recommend
Very
going to the Big
nice.
Apple.
That's
I'll
a
put it
hot
on your
tip.
list.
Go to the Big Apple.
I normally hate cities and I loved it.
Running wreck of the week.
Running wreck of the week. Go to Big Apple. Go to the Big Apple. It will only cost you your arm and a leg.
Yeah, true.
What is your worst running or running related experience?
Okay, worst run was a run this week. I was in Sydney this week for work and we had a really big week. We had a lot of events we were running, which is all really exciting. It all went really well, but it does mean a lot of hard work and late nights. And historically, when I've gone to Sydney for these weeks, I've still done my full-on training program.
Yeah.
I've gone to Run Crew, which is the group that I run with, and I joined in with them. And I actually didn't this week. This week I was like, I'm just going to do what I feel like each morning.
Good girl.
Thank you. And I also just, this was almost going to be
Did you
the
rest?
best run. One day I did
Oh!
this morning. I just went for runs with friends and stuff, which is really nice. But one morning I ran by myself. It was Tuesday morning, and I actually had to run way earlier than the normal Run Crew session is. So I was like, I'll just do what I feel like. And I just tried to do some 800s and 400s. And I was just running in the dark around the park, and I was so tired. I think I'd only had 5 hours sleep, say, for the previous few nights.
Yeah.
This is one of my challenges when I travel for work, and I'm interested to hear if anyone has good strategies for this, but I really struggle with my nutrition. I always have a good breakfast, but my lunches are like whatever I pick up kind of when, and everyone's on the go, and it's like a group lunch and I'm sort of eating whatever's there. And then the
It's
dinners
hard being
are always,
vegetarian as
it's
well. 'Cause,
really,
you like minimizes.
the
what you can
vegetarian,
have.
it's like, there's really not, definitely was making it difficult. And then dinners, we were just having them really late some nights. And so I don't know, it just like wasn't in my normal, I feel, and then my snacks, I normally try and have good snacks throughout the day, and I wasn't having any of that. So I felt just quite depleted on this run.
Yeah.
But I did, like, partway through, I was just like, okay, I'll just call it and I'll just finish the session now
Yeah.
and jog home.
Yeah.
So it was fine, but I was definitely like, it's not enjoyable running when
No,
you feel
that
that
is
way.
not. No.
Yeah. Yes.
Tired, dark, by yourself.
Yeah. I don't know. And I was just wearing, I don't know, I feel like I've become such a princess with my running shoes and wearing like super shoes in my sessions.
Oh, and you weren't.
No, I was just wearing normal joggers.
And you
doing my
couldn't possibly do it.
And I was like, oh, they just feel so slow.
You're like, it's not me, it's the shoes.
And I was like, when did I become this person? I never, ever used to wear like different shoes for my sessions. And then once you start, it just feels so good.
Yeah, you can't go back.
I know. What was your worst run?
Mine also was this week. So we got back on Sunday after a bit of a delay. And then I had to work on Monday. And then I thought, you know what, maybe it would be good for me. On Monday, I was saying to you off mic before, physically I was at work, but mentally,
Spiritually.
I don't think I existed. I don't know where I was. I said to Phoebe before, I was like looking at a few emails and stuff that I'd sent on Monday and they were atrocious.
You're
anyway,
like, oh no.
Sorry, I don't think my boss listens. And, oh yes, anyway, so I thought maybe it would be a good idea. I got through the day at work and I thought maybe it would be a good idea to try to run home. It's only about 4-5 Ks ish. Like maybe that will kind of make me feel a little bit better because I still wanted to try to get to
the right time
to like go to bed. I didn't want to go home and just fall asleep at 6 or whatever. Anyway, I started running, and maybe this is similar to how you're feeling when you're really low in iron. I'm unfit anyway. Running's not enjoyable for me at the moment because it's hard. Like every run's hard. I'm just really not fit. Sorry, it is still enjoyable.
I was like, oh God.
But it's hard. And like no run is easy. I now have this whole new appreciation of why people struggle to get into running because it's really hard at the beginning. Anyway, I digress. And then I think I got 1.5 kilometers and I thought, I'm just going to walk for a little bit.
Yeah.
And then I tried to run again and I just thought, honestly, stuff this. So then I just waddled home. And it was so hard. Even walking was so hard. And at one point I thought that I saw a bench and I thought, oh, maybe I'll just have a little sit on the bench. And I was like, do not sit on the bench. If you sit on the bench, you will fall asleep.
Oh my God.
So
I would love to have seen.
Hopefully.
I feel like I get pictures in my head. You just so demoralized.
I know. I really hope no one saw me on Monday.
Okay,
I'd be like, that girl looks so
Anna.
sad.
Oh, mind you, I cannot think of anything worse than running when jet lagged.
Yeah, it was
That
really,
sounds awful.
it was really, really hard.
Yeah.
I know. Well, on the Sunday, my method of staying awake was just to keep eating. But then I felt really sick on Monday because I'd eaten so much on the Sunday. So I thought, let's try something else. Okay, shall we get into the main topic of this week?
Let's do it because I'm so excited to talk about this.
Me too.
I don't think we've ever talked about something more divisive than Runna.
Yeah, seriously.
So we're going to...
I will put on record, I didn't realise it was this divisive until we did the poll.
No, I didn't. It is a heated topic in the running world. So basically what we want to do is unpack the rise of the AI running program app Runna. And we also then just generally wanted to discuss the landscape when it comes to real life coaches versus AI training plans. As Anna mentioned at the start, we did get you guys to weigh in during the week. So we're also going to share a lot of the community sentiment around this because turns out there are some strong opinions on either side of the program.
It was crazy. For every strong opinion one way, there was two the other.
Yeah, I know.
It was like, I would love to get everyone in a room.
Oh my gosh. Well,
just debate.
We will essentially try and represent both sides as fairly as possible, and then also give our own opinions because, as I said, we've both had a look at the app. I actually got it to make me a program,
and compared it with
my current program. Yeah, so that was extremely interesting, and I'm keen to unpack. But really, I think the reason that Runna's been it's super topical in the running world right now, it's because it's recently been acquired by Strava.
It has.
So let's give a quick rundown on what is Runna before we talk a little bit about the acquisition with Strava, and then let's get into our thoughts and the community's thoughts on Runna. Anna, what is Runna?
So Runna burst onto the scene in 2021 as an AI-powered run coaching app. it quickly climbed the app charts for everyone in need of any kind of running program.
It has grown really, really quickly. It's actually, considering it only started in 2021, it has 150 staff working for it, and it's hiring 50 more, which gives you a really good indication of how quickly it's growing.
Yeah. And in 2024, they tripled the size of its team. So 2023, it must have only been 50 people or so.
It'll be known for its brand presence and its like community influencer marketing it has done. And the fundamentals of the app aren't necessarily what sets it apart, but its marketing strategy is unbelievably effective. It also does have a hugely loyal user base. It seems to have a lot of people who, as per the responses, a lot of people use it and really, really love it. It has lots of other features. It has stretching and strength and so on that are designed to complement your running plan. It also has a community feature on there, but I don't think many people use that. But in terms of the acquisition itself, I mean, in my mind, it just makes a lot of sense. I've always been shocked that Strava doesn't do training plans. I think they apparently did try to do them once, but they're very poor.
Yeah.
So this makes complete sense to me. I also think Strava has been trying to integrate AI. I mean, everyone's probably seen the AI insights, and they've been a bit of a joke.
Yeah, they don't really seem to work very well.
Yeah.
I also think, I feel like for both companies, it's like, I think it's mutually beneficial. Like for Runner, it gets access to one of the largest online running communities as well.
And then I think Strava, obviously they get access to the training plans, but they also get the AI team that lives within Runner. I think Runner's AI team obviously doing a better job of it. So it's almost potentially an acquisition for their tech, as well as obviously Runner's growing really quickly, is probably profitable, and it's going to be a smart move in that sense.
One thing I am interested to see, and they haven't said that they've made a decision on it before, but how it's going to work, because of both programs are subscription based, and how that will kind of like how they'll merge that in a sense.
I think it'll just end up being another tier, like the highest tier is,
like it is,
or an add-on. Like you could have, premium version and add in this
a Runner
free
program
version.
as
Like
well.
completely hypothesizing here, but I'm sure they'll integrate it. They haven't come out the gates and said they'll do it, but that is inevitably what will happen, and that will make sense because I imagine 99% of the people who have Runner have Strava as well. So it's just one less app. And I think there's actually good examples of how Strava's done this before. I think 4 years ago they bought Fat Maps, which was like the GPS kind of tracking and like route creation system. And it took them years to integrate it, but now the Strava Map Your Run feature is really good.
It's so you use
awesome.
it, don't you?
It's one of my favorite Strava features.
Yeah. I will say, I don't know if you got into the weeds of this, but on Reddit, and I feel like there are a lot of people with strong opinions, obviously. I guess as well, people just don't really like change. And I feel like there are a lot of Strava users and also Runner users that are not happy about the collaboration, I guess, between the two.
Because Strava did a post on Strava saying, hey guys, we acquired Runner, explaining it, really excited. In the feed.
Okay.
And I looked at the comments, and all the most liked comments were people being like, you're going to ruin Runner.
Oh,
which blew my mind, because I was like, it's Strava, like they're on Strava, they surely like Strava. But turns out a lot of people use Strava but really don't like it, or have a lot of gripes about it, which I didn't know. Like I love Strava, and I just thought everyone else did too.
See, there was a bit of that, but there were a lot of grumpy Strava.
So what were
solely Strava users?
What is there to be unhappy about if you're on Strava?
I think,
are they worried it'll change their pricing or something?
Yeah, I think they were worried about the price change and that it'll just incentivize being on a Runner program so much that you'll get some Strava perks only if you're like a subscriber of Runner as well. But it did seem like, just in general, the main gripe was they're going to change the subscription and increase it, because I think it was either last year or 2023 Strava actually had issues with their premium subscription because they changed the price without actually notifying anyone. It was only when their subsons renewed that they were getting billed for more.
I didn't know that.
So I think maybe it's just like a little bit of throwing...
Yeah.
What do you, when you throw stones on the fire?
I tend to feel like there's just always angry people on the internet who just love to be annoyed about things.
I honestly, you can't do anything on the internet without people being angry.
I don't think people like change as a rule. I think there's a lot of fear, and just like I just don't like change.
No one likes any change whatsoever.
I think it's silly to be people are so cynical. about
Yeah.
like what's going to happen.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like, this makes complete sense. These are two apps that work together really well.
Yeah.
I'm sure that if you don't want it, you won't need to pay for it.
Yeah.
Just don't pay for it if you don't want it.
Yeah,
All
exactly.
good.
And like as we said before, to be honest, Strava's lack of any
Yeah.
modern functional in-app training plans was such a huge omission
Yeah.
until now.
I think probably the more valid fear is, I guess, if you use your Runner and love it, then because then it's okay. You don't know exactly what they're going to do with it.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
my hypothesis is that they'll obviously just integrate it and try and keep making it better. But
Yeah.
I guess you could be worried
We
that
never
they
really know.
wouldn't do that.
Yeah. So moving on, is Runna good? And some of you who aren't familiar with Runna, looking at you, mum and dad, for context, we actually polled our audience and asked.
This was so interesting.
Yeah, and asked where they get their training programs from. Obviously, Runna's just one app and one like online running service. 35% of our listeners who responded used Runna. 26% don't use a coach at all. 20% use a coach either in person or online, and then 18% of listeners use other online programs that are not Runna.
Yeah.
So that is pretty crazy.
That is wild.
Yeah.
How quickly it has got such a massive proportion of the amateur running
Yeah.
market.
I mean, do you think part of it comes into play that they would have been developing this app for a little while and maybe they just timed it quite well? Maybe even it might have been strategic, but maybe it's even a bit of luck
Oh, always.
that it
Timed
it.
Definitely.
They timed it with the boom of running.
And AI.
Yeah.
I think it's for sure, it's super fortuitous in that sense. It's also, their marketing is really effective, clearly. They understand better than all these other channels that people take their recommendations off other influencers in the running scene.
Which we do.
Yeah,
in the
for
running
sure.
scene and in
Yeah, I mean,
all
that's
other
always been the
aspects of
case.
life.
That's like
Yeah.
how humans work, and they have just completely capitalized on that to the extent that it's actually turned some people off it in the community, just being like, I actually don't know if I can trust it because I never know if someone's being paid to say something good about it.
say something,
So we should
yeah.
say we are absolutely not being paid.
Not being
I mean,
paid.
we're about to criticize it quite a bit as well as say the good things about it. So, but that blew my mind how many people, like even just the 35% Runner versus 18% all other running apps,
Yeah.
online programs, Garmin apps, like
ChatGPT.
yeah, all of those. That is crazy how much it's grown.
We're going to talk through what the community thinks about AI coaching in the form of Runna. But at the same time, parallel to that, you have also done your own experiments
Yes.
with Runna.
I have.
And compared it to...
And you've had a look at it too.
I have also had a look at it.
Yeah.
And compared it with the running program that you usually get. So we'll chat through what the community thinks, but also your own personal experience and what we think. Yeah. So I guess number one, which was a huge reason as to why people use Runna, was the cost. So it's $120 a year.
Which is honestly, a lot of people would pay more than that a month.
A month for a coach in person or online. So that in itself is...
Totally. I think for so many people, they would have no interest in paying, $150 a month for a running coach.
No.
The same reason that I don't pay that for a PT in the gym.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like,
exactly.
I do think you need a certain level of commitment.
Yeah.
Or
maybe,
dedication.
yeah.
And
But
obviously
also, I was
affordability.
going to say, maybe people would want to do that, but they simply just can't
Yeah,
afford to,
100%.
don't have that disposable income.
Yeah, so I think for a lot of people, it was as simple as that. It was like, I'm paying a 12th of what I would be paying otherwise.
Yeah.
It's like, cool, that makes complete sense.
Yeah, yeah.
I think the second thing to say that came up a bit, and then I'll talk about this in my own experience as well, but how easy it is to use. You download the app, you answer about 4 or 5 questions, it gives you a program.
Yeah.
And almost everyone has a 2-week free to start with. Compared to the psychological barrier of submitting an inquiry to a coach,
Yeah.
having a conversation,
Yeah.
working through.
There's also, I feel like, quite a big teething period with personal coach, whether it be in person or online.
Yeah.
In the sense that you're getting to know how...
Yeah.
or more so the coach, actually both, but like more so the coach is kind of getting to know what load is okay for you, what other aspects of life stresses impact your running, and how to juggle all of those things together, and also just the type of person you are, I guess, like whether or not you're someone who's just going to not say anything and just keep pushing when you probably shouldn't, or someone that maybe needs a little more encouragement because you're maybe a little bit scared.
But even then, and not to get derailed too early, I think all coaches are so different. And I think at the moment we're going to group coaches just for ease of having the conversation into one bucket. But we're probably talking about, I think we've both had some really good coaches in our time. And I actually don't think all coaches are probably that good necessarily. Like,
that's
I think
true.
there are plenty that would not go to anywhere near that effort. In fact, I know there are plenty of coaches that do that are just like, a couple questions, here's a reasonably generic training plan. There's a lot of people who run coaches these days who've created their own running programs that they share that aren't qualified to do so.
They aren't actually running.
So I think we'll probably talk
we've
about...
said
before, it seems like every man and their dog are now
running
coaches.
Yeah, and...
we both are.
Oh my God. We are not coaches.
We joke.
To come back to the ease of use point, one of the first things you notice using Runna, it is a beautiful interface. It's very easy to use. It's very intuitive.
They've done it very well.
They've done it really well. And when I compare that to the platform that I use for that my coach sets the program on, which is an app called Training Peaks, it's the most archaic, terrible user experience. It's so annoying to use.
It's quite convoluted and like complicated, isn't it? Yeah.
It's really, really poor. And so my first thought is, I wish Gary could put my program on this app because it's so easy to visualize. Like, it's really cool.
I actually, I hadn't really thought about it like that, but I used to get my program from Google Sheets. So it's like an Excel spreadsheet. And there were different colors for if it was a session or a easy run. But that was about the extent of
different colours
of the aesthetics.
Whereas compared to even what a coach gives you, it gives you strength training to complement your running. There's an ability to give it feedback or write notes after each run that then like keeps informing it. That's amazing functionality that you actually can't really get from
it's pretty cool.
Running coaches.
Because I would say most running coaches don't give you a strength program.
Definitely. I think most of them would say it's not my area of expertise. But in that sense, it's super comprehensive. In terms of just to talk through, if you haven't used it before, basically you log in. One of the very first things that I did was select my goal race, which is kind of cool because you can see, like, I can literally pick Gold Coast Marathon. Like, it obviously knows where I am and it has the runs there and you can figure out, which I thought was awesome. But I actually don't know how it works if you don't have a goal race. It seems to be completely designed around, I'm sure you can there's a maintenance version of it, but I couldn't see it. Then basically you enter your 5K PB, which I did, and then you select your level. So there are 4 levels, and the 4th one, which is elite, means that you have experience doing interval sessions. So that's the one I picked.
Still a pretty like low base.
Well, I think I
feel like those levels.
There's a lot within that because I've done interval sessions for years, but there's a lot of people who've done interval sessions who are a lot more experienced than I am. So that's kind of interesting. But I guess that's probably what's most useful for them in terms of what program they can then give you. Do they need to introduce you to this?
How complicated can the program be?
And then I asked how intense I wanted the training program to be, which I just set at normal because I was like interested to see what it would give me. Do you tell it what days you want to run on? Like how many days a week and stuff. So it's really easy. It took me like 2 minutes and then it's boom, I'm going to set you a plan. And I think it then loaded for half an hour to set the actual plan. But that's so easy. You go from, it's pretty frictionless. Whereas I do think that for a lot of people, just the admin of finding a coach,
going back and forth,
figuring out, maybe you don't get on with them. And even a lot of coaching, the platforms, you don't know which coach you're going to get within it. I don't know. I just think there's a lot more head noise and complications.
Well, I feel like everything, I mean, we've even spoken about before with dopamine injections, but everything now is so accessible. As soon as you decide you want something, I feel like people wanted it yesterday. So for a program like this, it's, you know what? I'm going to sign up for a marathon. Demand. Or I'm going to do this. And then it's half an hour later and they have a 12-week personalized inverted commas program. So I definitely understand that. Some of the other feedback we got was a really interesting point of disagreement, I think, from the community is about who it's for, because there are certainly some people that think
it's perfect for beginners. And there are a lot of other people who think you need to have some experience to be able to use it well.
Yeah. And so why do you think people were thinking it's good for beginners?
So to quote someone said, great for beginners, helped me build a foundation and understand different sessions and paces. And it definitely does that. It has a description of tempo. What does that mean? Like it does all that. And I also think if you've gone from nothing to something, it's a structure that's probably 10 times better than what you'd be doing if you had no idea.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
definitely. Yeah. I also think why it is good for beginners is because it is so much cheaper.
Yes.
I feel like it's a great way for people to dip their toe in the water before they actually jump in.
Totally.
So to kind of suss out whether or not running and doing this is what they want.
Yep.
And without having to be accountable or to answer to someone if they don't want to do it in 4 weeks kind of thing.
Totally. Which is, it's probably the same for a lot of people saying they just use ChatGPT to do that or like any app. But Runna obviously just, I think because of how good the user experience is and so on, it's done a better job at capturing those people who are like, oh, cool, let's give it a go, seeing what it's like to have a running program. Because it's interesting, that point of it helped me build a foundation, understand different sessions and paces. Like a coach would do that too, obviously.
Yeah.
But it's just lower stakes.
Yeah. And also maybe as well, people, if it's all sort of explained and set out for you, it's great as a way to learn. But I feel like some people, they might be a bit embarrassed to acknowledge that they actually don't know what some of these sessions are.
They don't know.
I even remember speaking with Ellie, my old coach, and asking, I can't remember what it was, but asking her something because I didn't really know what a word, I didn't actually know what she meant by it. But that even took, which is so silly. But like at the time, I kind of felt like I had to like build up the courage to actually ask because I was sort of like embarrassed to admit that I didn't know what she was talking about.
Yeah, but I think that is 100% a thing. And also just people I think would be embarrassed to ask for I don't know, like there is an awkwardness
for sure.
to that interaction. And it's just easier when you know it's not a real person. It's not going to judge you for your paces. Like, not that coaches do, but there is obviously the fear that they would. Then the other side of the fence though, did you read some of the comments from people who thought it was better for more experienced runners?
Yeah, which I hadn't thought of that before, but I really agree. Well, I agreed with a lot of those comments. Most of them were coming from the idea that you need to have a level of experience to be able to read a AI generated program, but then also take into account other like stresses in your life, how you're actually feeling on that day, and maybe so you do the run that it says or you alter it accordingly. And they were kind of saying that beginner runners don't have the knowledge to be able to do that, so they'll just go ahead.
Yeah. Do you think the idea there is that they think a coach would do that for you if you were more of a beginner runner?
I think so. Maybe they would. Yeah. But I think it is on a personal basis, like from person to person. I wouldn't matter if it was an AI program or a actual human. Previously, in my past life, different now, I wouldn't have said that I'm tired or whatever because I would have wanted to do the session. So I just feel like it's completely based on the person.
I think no matter what, throughout your entire running life, you will always have to be learning how not to overdo it, how to listen to your body. That is a constant journey. I don't think it's different with a coach or not. Maybe a coach could give you more tips around it, but like,
I feel like that's something that only you can really be like
I think it comes more from there was a fear in people who don't use it that it would give you something that was way too hard or way too much. And I can't speak to that because I don't know what it would give someone who put in that they didn't have any running experience. But I'm like, surely it just gives you similar to like a Catch 5K program. I can't imagine that it would be too
super
crazy.
Yeah. Someone I know uses Runna and absolutely loves it. They've done a few half marathons, a bit of a beginner, but they just feel like the accountability of it makes them actually go for the run. So even just the accountability of the AI generated program, which is it's so crazy to think how our minds work.
Yeah, I know.
But also gives Jim...
Don't want to let down the AI.
Yeah. They just find it so helpful because it's just like this whole nother world that they are exposed to. Yeah. Whereas they wouldn't consider themselves a dedicated runner. So there is in no way that they would ever look to getting a person to coach
a real
them.
Coach. Yeah. I think that's fair. Not an artificial coach. Yeah, I think one of the points that I thought was good was someone was saying like, it took them a few good prompts to get the right plan. And that was definitely my experience. Again, I'll talk a little bit more soon about the program that it gave me, but I had to make a few adjustments because when I first saw it, I was like, that's not right.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's the only thing with experience is like, you don't know to say that's not right unless you run for a bit and you're like, oh, that seems
right.
Silly.
Yeah.
And so I definitely think that there would definitely be an element of the more experience you have running, the better you're going to be able to respond to any plan you're given. Like a coach plan isn't going to be perfect either. I think it's probably always about learning to be able to balance what the program tells you with listening to your own body.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the quality of the actual program that it gives you.
Yeah. So in comparison to the program that you get from your current coach, what was the difference in load? So how much you were running every week and also how hard you were running each week?
Yeah. So it gave me basically a 10-week program in the lead up to, I'm going to do, hopefully, Gold Coast Half Marathon.
Yeah.
Haven't got a ticket yet, but I'll see if someone in the community is trying to get rid of one. I would love to do it. And so it gave me a 10-week program, and it basically built up from week 1. It started me at 50 kilometers in the week, and it built up to max 70 kilometers peak, which was week 7.
Yeah.
And then kind of down to taper to the run, which obviously at the moment I'm running like 85 Ks a week. So my first thought was, why did it not ask to plug in to my training and get the details from that?
Yeah. Or even just, I'm surprised it didn't ask your history for the past 6 weeks.
Oh, do
you know what I mean?
There are so many questions that it didn't ask that would have given it a much better program. I think what they're trying to do is just reduce barriers to starting.
Yeah.
If you have to fill out a whole questionnaire, people are just going to stop. And I'm guessing what it does is as you go, it learns and maybe it increases it.
Adapts.
But then, so I went back into the settings and actually found the question about how much load do you want, and I put it on max amount because I was interested to see. And even then, my longest week was 76 kilometers, which is still less than I'm running now. And the longest run was 21 Ks, I think.
Yeah, okay. And how long would your longest run be on your current program?
Probably 2 hours. So probably, maybe some would go probably 2 hours for a half marathon.
So what, 24 Ks?
Yeah, let's say that. Yeah, 24 Ks. So not actually, it is a pretty big difference. Like 21, 24, I'll be doing 2 hours every weekend. This has a lot of my long runs at like 16 Ks.
Yeah.
But the two biggest differences in the programs, the sessions that it gave me, let's start with. The session that it gave me for Monday is 5 by 1K at 3-minute 40 pace with a 90-second rest, 2K warm up and 1.8K cool down. And then Wednesday it told me to do 2K at 3:55 and then 2 by 1K at 3:45s.
And that's whole session?
For the whole week.
Yeah, okay.
So really small
sessions.
So for comparison, I would normally do maybe like 6 Ks of work once, and then maybe my second session would be more like 8 or 9 Ks of work. So this is significantly less. Also, it's given me paces that are a fair bit slower than I would usually run.
Yeah.
And it's very prescriptive with its paces. It doesn't give a range. It says do this pace.
Do it. Yeah,
which I automatically don't like, because I think that's going to feel really different on different days.
Yeah.
But also I can't understand how it's come up with these sessions. And maybe for me, this is the biggest difference. If I had a session that I don't understand, I ask Gary, what's the point of this session? And he'll explain it to me. And I couldn't see on Runna an ability to just ask. It has a little description,
point of this session?
But I read the description. I was like, that makes no sense.
Yeah, okay.
And then I looked at the whole program stepping back, and I was like, this is the randomest program ever. I don't understand. Some Mondays I'm doing tempos. Sometimes I'm doing interval sessions.
Oh, so there's no consistency in the days that you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, it tended to give me, I think, more sessions on the Wednesdays. This Saturday, it gave me a progressive long run. So I got faster towards the end. And that was the only time in the whole program I had it. Every other long run is conversational pace. Yeah. It's just really confused. It's just a really random program.
I wonder if it's due to the day that you started it or something. Like, did you start it just this week? And then and then maybe in its head it's like, oh, I've missed sessions for this week.
No,
so I'm going to do it.
That was for this whole week.
Oh, this whole week.
And it ended with a progressive long run. It's just super random. And I feel like with Gary, I always know the purpose of a block. What am I trying to do in this block? What is the outcome.
Yeah.
And this, I have no idea.
Yeah.
And it actually reminded me of how I see I use AI quite a bit at work, or I see it used, and AI, it often sounds right until you read it and you're like, oh, that's not, like, there's nothing really to that. There's not a lot of substance. So, for example, when I'm marking job applications that are written by AI, read it first, you're like, oh, it sounds good. And you're like, hang on
a second.
You've literally said nothing.
I
And
feel like it's kind of one of those, like, it's like good from far, but far from good.
Yeah.
Like, it kind of gets the gist.
It gets the gist.
But then actually when you think about it,
it was so weird. It's the weirdest program.
Yeah, but I guess that's literally in your work, but also these programs. That's the difference between having a human, and someone that you can feed off conversationally, and also their thought process is so different to AI.
Well, that's the thing, is it is for now, and I genuinely think AI models for running training are going to get 50 times better, and they will probably be a lot better in literally 6 months' time, maybe. I don't know. I just think that this is so not there right now. It's fine. It's a program. You stick to it. You run it. You would definitely get fitter.
Yeah.
It's, in my mind, at least compared to what my coach gives me, it's quite conservative. But I don't know Runna's training philosophy. I don't know what it cares about.
Yeah.
You know, different coaches, real coaches, they have theories and they have hypotheses and they have their idea about what will help a different kind of runner. I just have no insight into what Runna, the app, cares about. It's got this kind of hodgepodge of random sessions and...
Yeah. In a way, though, I feel like majority of the people that are probably using it don't really care for that.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think
and I wonder if you would even... if you didn't know that from being coached by Gary or being coached by a human, you wouldn't you don't really know what you're missing out on. I
would not have known a few years ago if I just I would have been like, cool, it's a session.
Yeah.
And it isn't until I've been coached by Gary for 5 years and I've asked him so many questions about what we're doing and why and so on, that I didn't even realize till I saw this, that I have built up my own idea in my head of the purpose of different sessions. And I love going into a session and understanding the value of it and what I'm trying to do with it. And I don't know that, to be fair, Runna tries to tell you this is what the session's for.
It has a little,
but then
I saw it, but they it doesn't really make sense. I will say though, in Runna's defense, I appreciate in comparison to your program at the moment, I think it's really good that it's on the conservative side of that. It would be worrying if it wasn't. Yeah. Because you run a lot, and as we said, it doesn't ask the questions. It doesn't actually know how much you run. And to think imagine how dangerous it would be if it was telling people to run a crazy amount just because they put in their thing. They're super.
Well, I would have thought that when I put it up on Max, it at least tried to match what I was doing now. I don't know. I feel like. The thing is, if you go to a coach, plenty of coaches wouldn't give me the amount maybe that I'm running now. I was going to say,
I feel like your coach now, he does give a lot of volume.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm definitely running a lot less now even than historically.
Yeah,
so he definitely does. The thing about, and that is totally a personal preference thing, because there are definitely people who don't want to do that. I truly think I have gotten way better outcomes from working with Gary than I would from so many other coaches. And I would never ever have believed I was capable of running 100 kilometers a week until I was on a program that gradually built me up there, and then I was like, oh, I'm doing it.
But maybe Runna would do that if you got to know it. If it got to know you for 2 years,
I reckon if it got to know you, it would give you a lot more. I guess it just starts at really conservative, and I think the whole thing is it starts you off low, builds you, and then you taper. And so I don't know what it would look like if you weren't trying to train for a race. Apparently it does the same with your paces. So you know how I said I thought the paces that it set me were much slower than I would, or slower than I would run now. Apparently the paces progress as you go, as well as the load, as well as the distance. So there were a few comments from people in the community who used it that were frustrating, saying the target paces progress too fast for me. It switches its paces too much rather than letting me adjust my schedule myself. Then other people really liked it. So it clearly does try and adjust it to your schedule. Yeah, what are your thoughts on Runna?
I think it's great to an extent. I think it's accessible. It doesn't matter where you live, what you do, what you even do for work. Even if you're a shift worker, for instance, you're much less likely to be able to go to a run club and do those sorts of things. And I think it's great if people, they don't want to pay for whatever reason. They don't want to pay the $120, because previously, before Runner and AI, you either had a running coach
and paid a lot of money
and paid a pretty exorbitant amount of money. If you think about it, of what they're, for each month, particularly when a lot of the time you're not even seeing them or nothing. I think it's great that there's some form of middle ground. And I feel like in so many people's situations, it can be really great. I do think there is the cons quite prolific in a sense. Yeah. And I mean, at the end of the day, I was saying, I know this is like a bit old school, but I feel like there's something so sad about the idea that something like running, where we speak about a lot, that the connection that you gain with people is so special. I really think that the run and coach relationship can be really special, and I find it really sad that a computer is kind of overtaking that in a lot of ways. And I feel like there are so many aspects of life where you're losing human connection, and it's just another one infiltrated into the like running coaching space.
Can I to say something there, that was probably one of my overarching thoughts when I was using the app, is I feel like the reality is that people don't like interacting with other people that much anymore if they don't have to.
Yeah, exactly. And it's isolating. Like you're not, I know there's these faux coaches.
Yeah. They're human. Ridiculous. It'll be like ex-coach says great work. It's silly. But it's not, because I kind of get it. Like I said before, let's say the gym. I was looking for a gym that I would not need to meet a single person through. As in, I wouldn't need to get an induction and get given a fob. I wanted something that I could literally download on my phone, scan in.
Antisocial.
Yeah, no, I know.
But no, 100%. I completely.
And like, I probably should get a PT and pay for that, but I just want to rock up and do my own thing.
Yeah.
And so
you can't be bothered.
Yeah. And maybe I'd have a great relationship with my PT.
Yeah.
Maybe we'd be great friends. Maybe we'd be great friends. No, but I think that it's so true of this age that if we can avoid interacting with people, we do. And I don't always think that's good for us at all. I completely agree. I just think people feel like it's more effort if it involves interacting with people. Yeah. Whereas the reality is, have you listened to much podcasts from the Happiness Lab?
No.
There's the Happiness Lab. I think it's run out of Harvard University. There's their lead psychologist there. She's called Laurie Santos. She goes on all these podcasts. She's amazing. But one of the things she talks about a lot is one of the biggest drivers of happiness is random interactions with people. And it's this bizarre thing that for some reason, random interactions with people throughout the day have a massive impact on our perceptions of happiness. And what's really interesting about that is if you ask someone, they would say, I'd rather have my headphones in than like be nodding and smiling to people.
Or even if you observe people.
Yeah. So like we're actually really bad at knowing what makes us happy and feel good. And I feel like this is kind of just another symptom to that. In terms of not wanting to interact with a coach, actually probably those interactions
is exactly what you
be really rewarding for you.
Yeah. Like that's one of the things I miss about not having, I mean, maybe it's a little bit of a like self-absorbed kind of thing in a sense. Well, because it is in a sense, because you're talking about, we only would talk about what I'm doing, kind of. And not so much stroking your ego, but is very like self-interested.
Okay, this is another thing. There's so many people said they loved how positive Runna, because Runna gives you a lot of feedback and it's super positive and it really hypes you up. I was watching my friend use it, or she was showing me the conversation she was having, being like, I really struggled in this part of that run. And it was like, totally understand. I understand that part of the run got really hard. But what's amazing is you kept strong. I can see you're working hard here, but you pushed through, you finished really well.
And is that true? Was she?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's really good because it has all the data from your run. It's not that hard to look at that. I'm like, I never have conversations with my coach like that. However, AI
that was shit.
Well, AI never tells you no.
Yeah, it doesn't, does it?
I love... My coach will call me out if I'm being lazy or if he thinks I'm stopping too much in my long runs, and he'll have a hard conversation with me about it and be like, if you want to get better, you actually can't keep doing this, or you're going way too slow in your long runs for a period of time. He really wanted me to go faster in my long runs. He will have that hard conversation with me, and I just don't think I mean, not everyone wants that, so that is totally fair.
Yeah.
I completely understand why you wouldn't want that. But I think that's an amazing thing about a relationship with a coach who cares about you is that they should push you and they should be able to say, like,
and should challenge you.
no, like, that's
Yeah,
actually wrong.
yeah.
Like, don't do that. I don't know. I just don't think you're going to get that from AI.
No.
Not yet, at least. Oh, actually, I want to say about the strength program it gives you. It is the randomest strength program
Oh, really?
I've ever seen. It's so weird. It's 50 different exercises. A lot of it's really well set up. Again, the user experience, you can see the exercise you're meant to do.
I was going to say I've looked and you can.
But yeah, it's
it
again,
kind of
when I
tells
look at
you
what I'm
to
doing,
do.
I'm like,
Why am I doing
what
this?
am I working on
Yeah.
here? But strength program would be the exact same as a running program. Go see a PT. That's what I should be doing. Who can look at your weaknesses, look at your injury history, and make a plan based
But
on
also,
that.
I know that you don't have a PT, but you've been to the physio. You know.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm assuming it doesn't ask you what's your injury history.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I generally think I completely agree with you. It's so much better than nothing. And it fills this gap, which is a massive gap of amateur runners who do not want to pay an expensive amount for a coach, but do want a program and they want something consistent.
Yeah, exactly.
And they want something to interact with and engage with.
And they want to do the fun run or race in however long.
Exactly. And the
they
feelings
want
of
some
progression.
guidance. And also a sense of accountability.
Yeah. So if you want that, with the warning, which I would also give if you were having a coach, which is that you still need to listen to your body. You still need to be able to push back on things and do your own learning and reading. I think it is really good for that. I think if you have a good coach, you're going to get better outcomes than you get out of runner.
Yeah.
The best comparison is looking at this program compared to what my coach is going to give me and has given me in the lead up to Gold Coast half. I'll run a better time off what my coaches give me. I just have no doubt in my mind. Like,
which one are you more likely to get injured following?
Oh, I mean, I'm running a lot less with Runna. I don't think that running less in and of itself is what stops you getting injured.
No, but
Like,
even,
I
mean, running less, but also I guess the intensity is less.
No, because the intensity is less, but I also would say there's a much bigger curve in Runna. It goes from 50 to 70 something within 6 weeks and then back down, and there's a down week in there. Whereas because my current program is just kind of the same the whole time.
Yeah.
Like, it'll grow a little bit, but it's really similar.
Yeah.
So
I guess maybe as well in a sense that it's a bit warped because it doesn't know you and like hasn't had
that.
Do you know what I mean? It doesn't have that like history.
I'm really not convinced that Runna would get you less injured in my specific situation because I have a program with high load, like maybe. But I generally think I get injured when I run through sicknesses, not because of my load. And I also think I got injured all the time when I didn't have a program as well. I just think injury, it all comes down to listening to your body. I actually think running consistently is really good for injury prevention. So I don't know if it's more or less likely, but it's much cheaper. And it's a much easier experience. Like, it literally pushes the run onto your watch, which tells you what to do. Also, actually, the fact that it has prescribed paces, I really don't like, and I don't think that's good for injury
I think there should be a range because, as we've spoken about on the podcast before, one day's whatever pace can feel very different to that pace the next day or 3 days prior.
I think right now the quality of the program is lower, no doubt in my mind. I think AI will learn and be able to produce in not that long really good training programs.
I think it's only a matter of time considering that how it is good. Like, it's pretty impressive.
And I think the future of this, if I was to have a guess, would be that I think 90% of these people who are using Runna never would have used a coach anyway. So I don't actually think they're cannibalizing that market particularly. I think a lot of running coach companies are probably frustrated because they feel like it's taking their potential customers. But I actually think these people just aren't interested in paying that amount. I think the future of running coaches is if you're a coach, you can have a really good relationship and build trust with your athletes, then they're never going to want to use AI because it's going to become about the relationship that you have.
Maybe it will actually just weed out the poor coaches.
I definitely think so. Because then it's
they'll think, oh, well, I can get this anyway.
Yeah.
Much cheaper.
Yeah.
Or as you're saying, if you have that special relationship with someone and you really trust them, then you're obviously not going to swap that for an AI
I think good
program.
coaches who are in tune with their athletes and who have years of experience and are great at pattern matching and so on and so forth, people are always going to have a great experience with them and not, unless they don't want to spend the money, are not going to come back down to this. But I completely agree. I think average coaches people are just going to move to this.
Yeah.
Like that's
Yeah.
the reality
So
of it.
fair.
And that's
Deserved.
is what it is. But really keen to hear if you've listened along, if you use Runna, if you don't, shoot us a message, DM us on Instagram.
Yeah.
Tell us your
We'd
thoughts.
love to know.
Yeah, we'd love to know more. Love to know if you agree with our takes here, and keen to like keep following along the journey with Runna in terms of how it keeps adjusting its AI models.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
also excited to see what Strava and
Yes.
Runna are going to do together.
All right, there's something else we want to talk about this episode.
Yes. You have been trialing a new supplement, I believe.
It's actually something we did an episode on a couple of months ago on, which is creatine.
Go back and listen if you haven't.
Yes.
Great app.
Is
If I say so myself.
It is a great app. We learned a lot, and we've received a lot of questions from people about how it's been going, how we use it, or how I use it, I should say, because you haven't been
I
using
am
it.
not using it.
So I've been taking it consistently for, I don't know, 2 months now. And I got advised by my dietitian.
Yeah.
And when you don't eat meat, you actually aren't even getting enough creatine in the first place. And also for runners, there's a lot of reasons why, particularly from a recovery and strength perspective,
Yeah.
it is really strong for your performance.
Yeah.
There's a lot of research to back that up. We can link the resource we've linked before, which is from the Australian Institute of Sport, where they have a supplement framework and they kind of talk through all the benefits of creatine.
Maybe we'll also link our episode because it was an interesting chat, and yeah, we just go a little bit deeper into what creatine is and why the research is saying that you should be using it for performance and running. So what are you using at the moment, and how are you actually taking it?
Well, I take 1 scoop a day, which is 3 to 5 milligrams. I normally do it straight after my run, try and have protein as well as creatine.
In the same shake?
Yeah,
Oh,
it's flavourless. It's totally flavourless.
yeah.
Well, so very kindly, Pillar, which a lot of you will have heard us talk about Pillar before, they've sponsored the pod a bunch of times. Once they heard that we did this episode and that I was going to be trying creatine, they sent us some to try. So I've been using Pillar. It's creatine monohydrate, which is what we said in the episode is the one that you need to be taking.
Yeah.
They also, their kind of point of difference, I suppose, is that they use Crea Pure, which is basically the purest form of creatine monohydrate available.
Yeah.
And they have gone through every single safety check, performance check. This is the gold standard. It's also vegan, which I really like. Essentially, I just take a scoop of that every day. So Pillar is sponsoring the next couple of episodes, and I wanted to talk about some of the impacts I've noticed through taking creatine.
Yeah.
Today, I'm going to talk about the impact I've noticed on my recovery and my sleep.
Oh, okay.
So this is super interesting because listeners will know I have an Aura ring which tracks my sleep really closely. And one of the data points I am most interested in is how far throughout the night my resting heart rate lowers.
Yeah.
So as we spoke about previously, there's this amazing data point which is when your heart rate reaches its lowest point in the night, essentially when it stabilizes, that's basically when you move from the first half of your sleep, which is more focused on deep sleep and physical recovery, into REM sleep and mental recovery.
Yeah.
And so if it lowers later throughout the night, then it means it's taking your body a long time to recover.
Yeah.
And I have had periods where it has taken my body all night to recover.
In the morning, it's still not there.
When I was marathon training and anemic, my recovery has been noticeably improving. Like almost every night, it's in the first half of the night.
Really?
Which is so interesting. Like, I don't know if it's my iron, the fact that my iron's higher. Like, I actually can't completely dissociate these two because I started at the same time. But it is one of the biggest differences in my data is how much better I've been recovering.
Yeah.
And this is one of the biggest impacts of creatine for runners is how much it helps your muscle recovery. So I would keep doing it purely based off that. That is like such an important data point for me.
That is so cool.
Yeah, it's really cool.
I mean, you spoke about it at the start of the episode about one of the highlights being of the last few weeks is just that you're feeling better running. Like, who knows?
100%. I'm going to keep telling over the next couple of weeks the other things that I've noticed, small to big things that I've noticed since taking it consistently, but couldn't recommend it more highly. Jump on the Pillar website if you want to have check it out. And thank you, Pillar.
Yeah, thank you very much to Pillar Performance for making this episode of Cheeky possible.
Yay. And thank you for listening, listeners.
And thank you for listening. And thank you for being here on this couch with me.
Thank you. It feels so good to be back.
It's so good to be back.
Yay.
Hooray!
bet that's what our listeners are thinking. Hooray!
Hooray!
Back. We're sorry we left you for so long.
And on that note,
If you have a friend who uses Runna or has strong opinions
Yeah.
on Runna, please share it with them as well because we really want to get feedback and thoughts.
yeah,
Otherwise, we can't wait
to be in your ears.
next week.
Bye.
Bye.
People on the
Mistrust of
internet
things.
just want to play dead fish.
Yeah. What does that mean?
It's that game that you play in primary school. It's pretty much when the teachers want a break and they say, all right, let's play dead fish. And everyone lies on the
lions.
ground. What?
Sleeping lions.
Is that what it's called in Queensland?
We'd play it like
Sleeping lions.
It'd be like in like a
That's kind of cuter than
like
dead
year
fish.
8 birthday. Oh no, not year 8. You're on.
My 21st birthday party.